And we're back. Everyone in the comments, let us know if the mic is working. The wonderfully talented Cody Carpentier just came up here and fixed it. So I think we're good. I think we're good.
I see things popping up green back there on the Scarlet. So I think we're solid.
I think we're good. I think we are.
Let us know if you're Gerard Dean coming in clutch. How about that?
All right. Well,
almost as clutch as Cody there.
I'd say Cody's more clutch, but thanks guys a ton. We'll take it from the top. We're gonna start over.
Yeah, we'll start over.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, joined here with Seth and some others from the Draft House in just a few moments as we give you your last-minute NFL draft predictions. They might be bold, they might be hot, they might be cold, but we're going to be talking about the NFL draft as it is today. I've got Seth joining me here on my right because we are going together. We've got the media passes as well as on, and so we're very excited about that experience. Stay tuned to our social networks for kind of all that coverage. We're gonna have videos of that all day.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm super excited. Obviously, for me personally, as a Bears fan, Caleb Williams being the #1 overall pick, and then of course the Bears pick at 9. So, it couldn't be any better for me personally. It's kind of a dream. Like when you're a kid, you get to go to the NFL draft and talk to these guys. So we'll have coverage for you all literally. I don't know. God knows how late we'll stay up, like editing this stuff, like who knows. But yeah, I'm thrilled to be here, and let's get it, man.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be incredible. We're very, very excited about our coverage. It's going to not only be happening here, but also out in Detroit. Boots on the ground coverage. Player Profiler is everywhere. So thanks everyone for joining. Good morning to you, Franz, Jared, management, Fantasy Network, Harry Snowman's up here, Mike's out here. Thank you all. Just thank you all. Seth, I have a question for you.
Yes.
We're here. It's draft day, and we see the title of the show. Why don't you kick us off? What's your kind of what are your thoughts about the draft, and maybe hit us with your hottest take right now?
Well, it seems pretty wild and crazy, just the things that are going on. I heard 2 separate rumors that together didn't make any sense yesterday about the New York Giants. Like one, they wanted to move up and take Drake May, and the other one being, maybe we want to move down. Like it doesn't make any sense. So all of what you're hearing over the next couple of days is likely smoke, teams angling to try to get even the slightest bit of advantage. So I guess my bold prediction, I don't know if it's boring or lame, but I don't know if we'll see as much action as we think. I think the first 5 picks could be very boring with quarterback, Marvin Harrison Jr., then Malik Neighbors or Joel Alt. And then we'll see what the Giants do at 6. I think that's my bold prediction, is that whatever the Giants decide to do, whether it's, McCarthy might be there for them. Yeah. They could trade back. They could take a wide receiver. I think the Giants is the ultimate wild card, just with all the noise that's coming out of that situation and with that team. So I'd have my eye on the Giants. But, the Bears, everybody thinks that they're going to get a wide receiver. I think there's a real chance that the wide receivers are gone.
Yeah.
There's no quarterback that anybody wants to trade up for. They could be stuck there at 9 with maybe their second or third best choice on the board with no trade back partner. My pick for them all along has been Byron Murphy at 9, and I don't know if that's bold or not, but I think it's got a real chance of happening because I think they, like, just based on everything I'm hearing and reading from, in Bears world, they appears that they like him. So
yeah, we'll see how that goes, because everything I'm hearing in the Falcons world is that they want Byron Murphy at pick 8.
Oh wow, so he might not even be there.
So he might not be there. We'll see what happens. I do want to touch on the Giants for a second, just because I feel like they're one of the hardest teams in the league to talk about right now. We have no idea what their identity is. Last year, to me, kind of a cursed season, just totally lost. You get the injury to Daniel Jones, but they also just didn't look right in general. Like, I have no idea when I'm looking at the New York Giants, especially now without Saquon Barkley, what they're even going to do next year. And so that pick number 6 is the clearest indicator of how they're going to attack next season, whether they're still going to bet on Daniel Jones, go away from him, or if they just kind of want to keep bolstering that defense that kind of came on fire there towards the end of the year.
Well, it's another reason why I think McCarthy could drop a little bit is because if you're the Giants, you've already made a bet on Daniel Jones. Mm-hmm. Yeah, now it's probably turned out to be a bad bet, but your money's there. It's already, you've made your bet. Yeah. So you can either – you also have coach and general manager that could potentially be on the hot seat. So you have to throw that into the scenario as well.
Right.
As far as, like, do they think they can revitalize Daniel Jones much in the same way that Brian Daboll did it when he first came in? Can they get that season out of him in this upcoming year? I know he's coming off of an injury, but like, that's what makes me think that they're going to go with a position of need, maybe a wide receiver, maybe a defensive player, just something that can help them bolster their team. And that's not a quarterback where they're like resetting things unless they have that assurance from ownership. I don't know. But it feels very similar to the Ryan Pace, Matt Nagy situation with the Bears, where it's like, are we really going to take another quarterback here, like the 4th best quarterback potentially on the board in the NFL draft? Or are we going to try to bolster what we already have? So be interesting to find out.
It's going to be incredibly interesting to find out. And I just feel like if you're the Giants, you really do have to look yourself in the mirror and decide what type of team you are, because they're not competing this year, but they're definitely going to try to.
They're going to try.
And so I think, if I'm the New York Giants, I would get like a wide receiver or just O-line, build around Daniel Jones, give him one last shot since you already, kind of gave him all that money. And then if he does fail again, like many expect him to, then you kind of get another shot and the quarterback can sight into a much better situation in 2025. So definitely excited to see what happens there. I have a question from the chat. Please dispel Neighbors to Atlanta.
Jason, that sounds like your territory. Do you want to kick that one off?
I don't know if I can dispel it. I don't feel confident enough. It's not like I have like insider information with the Atlanta Falcons or anything like that. But the one thing we do know is that Terry Fontenot has been drafting the most athletic player available. If Malik Neighbors is there at 8, I could see the Falcons taking him. However, he's not going to be there at 8. Malik Neighbors is going to be picked much before that. Well, I guess you can't really say much before that since it's still a top 10 pick, but before that. So I don't think we have to worry about that unless they make a trade. But the Falcons have not really been draft day traders with Terry Fontenot.
Yeah, we'll see. I thought it was interesting. I think it was Cody that picked. He had Tennessee and he had Neighbors go to Tennessee because Adunze was taking the pick before. And I think that's a really interesting landing spot for him. It actually makes way more sense than you think. I know that they seem to be locked in on the left tackle, especially if Joe Alt's there. That's probably the direction that they go. But in that scenario that we played out last night, it was Joe Alt was already off the board. The Chargers took him. So a nice consolation prize for them. I agree with you. I would be floored if Malik Neighbors is still there at pick number 8. I think they would. I don't know. I think that would probably be a trade back situation, just given what they already have on the roster. I mean, they have Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan. Like, they signed Darnell Mooney. I guess adding Malik Neighbors to that equation doesn't hurt anything. like that's Kirk Cousins. Holy shit! Like that'd be amazing. But yeah. I don't know if we can dispel it. If he's there, I mean, they have to consider it, right?
100%. It would fit really well. I mean, Darnell Mooney, he's been good and had some years, but I mean, Malik Neighbors would definitely slot in over him. And you've got a really good wide receiver 3 in Darnell Mooney. I do think that would look good.
And I'd be crying because I've bought Darnell Mooney just about every single Dynasty league.
You gotta wait.
Yeah,
you gotta wait.
No.
Impatience has gotten to Seth, but we'll see. I think it'll be fine. Darnell Mooney's in a nice little spot this year, Seth. So Hit us with one more take. I see Cody waiting in the wings.
Yeah,
We
he's
just
in the
talked
green
about
room.
his mock. So definitely go, or not his mock, our mock. We did a mock yesterday on the Dynasty Trade Gods table, trade round table.
Poker table, Dynasty poker table.
The Dynasty poker table.
Trademark. I don't think anybody's taken that yet. I'm trademarking that.
I like it. It's a good one. It's a good one. So go check out that mock draft. It was pretty fun. Just a little one round. Me, Seth, Cody Carpentier, Matty Kiwoom came up with it. Did some trades. It was a good one. So Seth, hit us with one more take.
One more take. Wow. JJ McCarthy's going to fall out of the top 10.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. Good take.
Right.
Good take.
We're gonna tag in.
All right. While Cody walks up, I do see a question in the chat. Who do you think is next year's QB1? And is he better than JJ McCarthy or Michael Penix or whoever the Giants would get? I think we have the perfect guest maybe to answer this question because I'm definitely not someone too into next year's prospects quite yet. So Cody, what do you think about that question?
How are we doing? What do we got here?
Who's next year's QB1? And are they better than JJ McCarthy or Michael Penix?
I think that's a tough one. When you're looking at it right now, I think at the top, you have Carson Beck from Georgia. You got Quinn Ewers from Texas, two guys with ability to be top 20 picks. Mm-hmm. But when you're projecting to the NFL, the prototypical size that Quinn does not have, Carson has. He's a little slimmer. He's kind of, I guess you could tie him to a little bit of a JJ McCarthy type of a guy. But two guys that I think most excited to watch in 2024 is Shedeur Sanders from Colorado and Cam Ward from Miami, transfer from Washington State, transfer from Incarnate Ward. And in that Miami offense, I think he has the ability. He was a guy that declared for the NFL draft and then undeclared and then transferred to Miami, entered the portal, transferred to Miami. I think there's a lot of upside there with Cam Ward to potentially get up into that conversation. You of course have a couple of sleepers up there like Will Howard at Ohio State, and there's a handful across the country, but those are kind of the four that come to mind. The class is definitely a dip down. It's definitely not comparable to this group. Right. It's if this year's class is an A class, next year's class was 4 names I listed on. That's like a C plus. So it's a drastic step down, and you're probably looking at, if I had to guess right now, 2.5 first round quarterbacks out of that group. I'm not sure. I don't listen. Well, for Orange Bloods, I'm not sure. I believe the Quinn is going to be a first round pick, but if he continues to, this will be his 3rd year starting. If he can do what he did last year, I think there's probably going to be there. But it'll be an interesting group. Definitely not comparable to this year's class, in my opinion.
Yeah, so you would kind of hold off then, or maybe go with Penix or JJ this year if you need a quarterback.
Yeah, I would. If it depends on the team, but I think I would probably go Penix or JJ, because if you're in the situation, if you're in the spot to take a quarterback, you need a quarterback. You just take the quarterback.
That's fair.
You don't. Well, let's wait a year. It's like that's like you lose your job if you just. If you're the Patriots and you're like, well, we traded down and we're staring in the eyes of JJ. Do we take JJ here or do we wait until next year and hope that Shedeur pans out or Cam pans out or Carson Beck? No, you just take JJ. You just be done with it.
Yeah, I like it. All right, Cody. So as we know, this is the last minute NFL draft bold predictions live from Detroit here on Wake and Take. So Cody, hit us with a good take.
I think this it feels like as we've gotten closer, it feels all dialed in. A couple guys have had troubles with landing in my latest mock. Rome Odunze, right? You've heard a lot of connections to the Bears. You've heard connections to the Jets. I think there's potential. I know Seth was just on talking about JJ falling to the top 10. I love Rome Odunze. I think he might fall out of the top 10. The Saints at 14, I think, are very interesting. The Saints need a couple of other positions. They could use a tackle. They could use a corner. If Rome gets past the Jets, I think he falls to 14. I think the Saints click that button. I would love to see that duo happen down there. The Colts are another one where it feels like it's coming down to Xavier Worthy and Brock Bowers. I had Xavier Worthy plugged in last night, and I pulled it out and put Brock Bowers in. And then I read Lance Zierlein's mock this morning, and he did the opposite. He had Brock and plugged in the egg, and he's like, remember, Chris Ballard was with the Chiefs when they took Tyreek Hill, and that world-class speed is right there. And the reason I had plugged Xavier Worthy in the first place was a theory from last year where we walked out of the NFL Combine, Alex Dunlap and I, and he goes, man, Anthony Richardson's the first overall pick. Look, this guy's the first overall pick. And he ended up not being the first overall pick, but going to the Colts. Yeah. That's where the Combine's at, home cooking. X Worthy was that guy this year. It was a hope. You walked out. If you weren't there live in Indianapolis, it was otherworldly of a feel. It was like, it's being at one of those big time football games, and there was only 5,000 fans in the stadium when he ran that 4.21, and now it feels like he's the guy. Colts got the home. I don't know. It's just a weird tie in there,
I like it.
So I kind of like that thought going into tonight as well.
You get the kind of combine connection. If you're in Indianapolis,
Yeah.
the Colts just like you. It makes sense. And I would love that landing spot. Alec Pierce, as much as I liked the profile, just didn't pan out. He has no hands. And really not the greatest route runner in the world. And I think that Xavier Worthy could kind of be that fit on that team because they do want the deep threat. And Xavier Worthy can do even more than that too. So I think he would complement Pittman very well. And I think Brock Bowers is a good pick there too. We just saw Alec Ogletree, Mo Alley Cox, Will Mallory.
Jelani?
Well, he was hurt last year.
Mallory?
Yeah, Will Mallory. There's someone else too, but it doesn't really matter. Those guys combined for like 900 yards and 11 touchdowns. So a true tight end one, I think would be huge in that offense. I really, really do. So those are both some really, really good takes, Cody. Do you have one more for us, maybe?
One more take. I think the end of this draft is going to be interesting. End of the first round, I should say. Finding out what those last 4 picks are in the draft. Everyone talks about, being successful in the Huddle Report competition is nailing the top 10. If you can get as much right in the top 10 as possible, you're going to do pretty well. But the last 4 picks, either it's somebody trading in. I have the Commanders trading in the teens. I think the Cardinals trade up from the back end of the first round.
Okay.
But also the Lions, Ravens, Niners, Chiefs, I think are 4 really tough teams to land on. I didn't put Xavier Worthy in my last mock, but there was a mistake on my part. I think he goes ahead of Adonai Mitchell. I think Adonai Mitchell goes ahead of Brian Thomas. I think Brian Thomas is the 6th receiver off the board tonight. After the big 3, after Adonai, after X, Brian Thomas is the 6th receiver off the board. He goes 30th to the Ravens, and he gets a little late fall down to 30. And Brian Thomas gets plugged in there with Zay Flowers, with Bateman, and with Lamar Jackson.
That is very Lamar Jackson-esque, where it just kind of fell in their laps.
And that's the definition of Ravens.
It is. It really is. And so I really do like that call. I could see Mitchell going to like the Cowboys or something before that, and then Worthy can go anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's a really fun call, especially with everyone out there kind of putting Brian Thomas as wide receiver 4 in this class. And he's the last wide receiver out, or the only wide receiver outside of the big 3 going to the draft tonight. There's no Brock Bowers. There's no Xavier Worthy. There's no Adonai Mitchell. No JJ McCarthy either, which I think is interesting.
It is interesting because, we might be closer. I'm not sure where he lives exactly, but we might be closer to JJ McCarthy than the draft is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But, yeah, Joe Thomas, the all-time great tackle for the Cleveland Browns, was fishing during his NFL draft, and he was a top 10 pick.
There you
if
go.
You remember right. So some of these guys just got, maybe they just rather do other things. And we've seen some guys even tweet already this year. They're like, "This is the longest week of my life.
Yeah.
I don't like." Graham Barton's going to be with family. Like all these guys have different prerogatives, and I bet there's guys out there you hear it every year that don't even watch. They just are
waiting for the phone call.
I'm going to go golf, put my phone away.
That's what Barton's doing today.
There you go.
It's pretty awesome. All right, before you go, I do have this great question from FF Bearded Prince. He's here to hear you call someone dog water. It won't show up on the screen. It is what it is. What rookie is dog water? It could be any round. You can take an easy answer, but who's just dog water?
Who's dog water in this class? The Romeo Dobbs thing always just rolled off the tongue. It just Romeo dog water. It just made too much sense. So dog water, the definition of dog water would have to be someone that's overrated, somebody that, their feet are so dang slow, they can't catch. There's something wrong with them. And I don't like to be disrespectful to players, but if I had to say who is dog water in this class, it would 100% be Joe Milton.
Ooh.
Joe Milton is dog water. The guy is so athletic, but don't want to be disrespectful, but the ability to control your velocity as a quarterback at the Division I level and know that if you can get this thing reeled in, you have the ability to be quite literally like an all-time asset to a football team and be a top-end first-round pick. But he just couldn't reel it in. So to me, that's dog. His arm talent is dog water.
Yeah, what if he goes to the one that I've kind of been thinking? I know it's not the best landing spot in the world, but like the Packers.
somewhere he can sit for a minute. Yeah, he
Yeah.
definitely needs to sit for a minute. The
Yeah.
Packers would be an interesting one because he could literally sit for 2, 3, maybe 4 years.
5.
Yeah, sure. Sit that whole contract like Jordan Love did. I think he needs more work than even Jordan Love. And I actually like Jordan Love coming out, but he was clearly needed some work. Milton, I mean, man, we down there at the Senior Bowl. It was like you said coming out. You like Carter Bradley coming out that weekend. Like it was. I think you could make an argument that Milton was the worst quarterback at the event. And I don't. Again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all. I think he was the worst quarterback at the event, and nobody was good.
No one.
And that's, again, I love Joe Milton.
Mm-hmm.
I do. But the ability to not reel in that velocity and understand that if I get this thing done, maybe he just can't. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
he's got the strongest arm since Jamarcus Russell, and it just can't. Like, we're sitting 4 feet from a dresser, and like I'm not sure he could knock off the vase on the top.
Probably not. Didn't he tell us at the Senior Bowl that he broke some high school teammates' hands?
Yes, multiple fingers, broke multiple fingers in high school. And like the goal of the quarterback's not to play baseball. It's to
it's not.
No, it's to put the ball in the dude's hand in the most eloquent, easy way. And
Hey, you're not throwing interceptions. DBs aren't catching that.
Yeah. No. Well, no, yeah, you're not gonna throw many of them. Those guys aren't used to catching football. So
all right, Cody. Well, you gave some great takes. If you'd like, you can give another, or I can send you out of here either way. But thank you for joining me. It's been fun.
I think you got Anand coming on, don't you?
Yeah, Anand, where you at?
Here, he's coming up right now.
Anand's coming up.
One final take here. For you.
we got to get some Anand take up here.
I have a weird feeling about Keon Coleman tonight. I'll just leave it at that.
Like going in the first?
Yes, I got a weird.
I don't like him.
Well, he's gonna be good.
Okay. All right.
I was talking to Alex about it. This will be the last take here. I was talking to Alex about this yesterday when we were dialing in all the final comps, all the final stuff. My favorite comp for Keon Coleman is Terrell Owens.
And he's just out. He's dropping mic drop. And I'm not going to say anything either.
Shit, how do you follow that up?
You don't. Welcome in, Anand. How's it going?
What's up, Jason? How are you doing, man?
Doing all right, man. Just, doing the thing. It's nice. You know it. You can see the title here.
Yeah.
Last minute NFL draft bold predictions live from Detroit with an asterisk. Anand, give us a good draft take.
It's about my Rams, and I do not think that they pick at 19. I think they either move up and take a wide receiver, or they move out of the first round entirely.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they've been waiting forever to use this first round pick,
and we might just not use it. Sorry to my guy Sosa. He's gonna be pissed as fuck.
I like it, right? I mean, they have not necessarily a lot of needs, but also a lot of needs at the same time, but not necessarily like at the top end.
Yeah,
like they just need some role players to
defensive depth, man.
Right, exactly. Like
there's a lot of defensive help.
Yeah, but like it's not like getting who like Chop Robinson is going to help the Rams.
Nah, not that much.
No.
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish it was as simple as like, hey, draft that guy. We'll be good.
No.
There's a lot more building to do there.
There's a lot of building for sure. Do you have anything else that you're hearing within your confines that might be special tonight?
I think, we've seen markets move all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, nothing's locked in. I think Caleb at 1 has been done for months now. We knew that.
Mm-hmm.
But people are saying that Washington's wavering on Daniels at 2. And so that would be certainly interesting. That whole 2, 3, 4, 5 area is interesting for a bunch of reasons in terms of where do the quarterbacks go? Do we have a Marvin Harrison Jr. go there? Does someone potentially take a tackle? I know the Chargers have been linked to both Alt and Latham. And then when you go down the board a little bit, when you get to that 8, 9, 10 area, where it's Atlanta and then it's the Bears and then the Jets, one of the really interesting things that I've seen put out there is if one of those 4 quarterbacks happens to slide a bit, like let's say it is, just in this case, it might be Jaden Daniels or JJ McCarthy. Do one of the teams right behind Minnesota at 11 and either the Raiders at 13 or the Broncos at 12 try to jump them for that last quarterback remaining? Just because we've heard so much about how much, the Broncos like Nix and the Raiders like Penix and, Minnesota's been linked to both McCarthy and May. It's just going to be absolute madness. And this is, we hear a lot of things.
We do.
all year round.
We do.
But this year, especially, the agents and the teams have done a really solid job of muddying the waters to the point where even if you think you're sure about something, you're really not sure of something. And, so this is probably going to be one of the more entertaining first rounds, period. If I had to give you, like my hot take involved there, I think there are at least 6 trades on draft night.
I like that. Because there's so many spots, I feel like, where the team that has the same need is picking right behind that team. And so, like, I could see just small little jumps or even like a player move. Like, we're still hearing the T. Higgins and Brandon Ayuk rumors. I think that I don't know if it'll happen day one, but
I think, you can have another angle that doesn't get discussed a ton is, the Niners could easily, in this case, move Deebo Samuel to give Ayuk a contract if they so decided to.
I guess I would go back to last year because he was in Ayuk's shoes last year. He was the one that requested to leave. And
so I think that's the kind of, I think that's an interesting angle that hasn't been explored as much.
It is.
It kind of seems like everybody's of the mindset that Ayuk is the one that gets moved. I think that's kind of just to be a contrarian because it could happen. I think Deebo could potentially get moved.
I like that. I really do.
Shout out to Nick Jake. What percent chance that Marvin Harrison Jr. is not the first wide receiver?
Yeah, here you go. Ohio State guy right here.
Probably 30%, 35%. Everybody has, their board is different. I know that there are teams that have a Dunze one. I know that there are teams that have Neighbors one. The top 3 guys in this class are all true wide receiver ones as prospects. Yeah. And that just doesn't happen often. We just don't get, you had like the AJ Green, Julio Jones year where, you had 2 guys that everybody's like, okay, yeah, they're true ones. You pick your flavor. I think these 3 are kind of in that same mold where it just kind of depends on what you need at wide receiver and what you like. I think Marv's probably the most complete of the 3 of them, but that doesn't mean you can't prefer someone more than him.
Right. Yeah. My latest What It Can Take mock, I had actually Drake May go number 2 to the Commanders. I had Malik Neighbors, the first wide receiver, taken to the Cardinals. And then I had the Broncos trading with the Falcons for J.J. McCarthy. All 3 of those takes were kind of talked about so in a way. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's that's the fun part here is, it took us to last year. It was right before the gun when we found out that CJ would be the number 2 overall pick. The market was moving and moving and moving, but nothing solidified until, 30 minutes before. We're sitting in the media room last year and, it kind of breaks and you hear whispers all through the place. And it's like, oh, what happened? It's going to be CJ. Okay. Well, now what do we do with 3? Because, we thought that the Cardinals would just stay and take Will Anderson Jr. And instead the Texans had other ideas, because so much of what we had heard was that they were linked to Will Anderson, which was true. They were. They traded back up to go get him. But it just goes to show you that's how, when we're all starved, like this is misinformation season, as I've said a billion times on anything that I've been on. But it's also selective information season where we're going to tell you exactly what we want you to know.
Exactly.
But not everything we know.
Yeah, it's very fun. I'm excited to see what happens tonight. We'll be there.
We will be there.
We've got the media passes. So again, make sure you stay tuned into the Player Profiler Twitter, especially as we'll be dropping all sorts of fun little stuff. Follow on, and I'm sure he'll have some great stuff. Follow me. I'll have some fun stuff, and Seth as well, who came on for the beginning of the show. And I think it's probably getting to wrapping up time. So why don't you hit us with one more take if you want, or just anything in general?
Sure. I think that all 6 of the QBs that we talked about, being first round guys potentially end up going in round 1. This is not a strong defensive class at the top. It's really solid in the middle. There are a lot of day 2 and day 3 guys that'll really help squads, whether you need a safety, whether you need, there just aren't the premium defensive players that we usually see in a draft. And so obviously when you skew heavily towards offense, naturally anybody that's looking for offense, there are 6 teams that need quarterbacks. And I think it's going to be tough at some point for them to accept what we have here is you have the top 4 guys in Caleb, I think is in a tier of his own, and then Drake, Jaden, JJ, in whatever order you want to have them. And you have kind of Bo Nix and Michael Penix in this next tier down. And then once you get there, there's really one more tier of guy that you would feel comfortable even like on a developmental level. And that's Spencer Rattler in day 2 at some point. And then after that, it's basically Michael Pratt and a bunch of guys that you're hoping might be backups at some point if they develop properly. And so, quarterback is getting really scarce really quickly. It doesn't have the middle depth that we've seen elsewhere. And that's why I think the teams are going to worry about, well, if I miss the boat on Penix or Nix, whichever one's the last one there, I'm not going to get one, period. And I may have to draft Rattler at the high end of round 2, which I don't think people want to do.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I honestly don't think they want him in the 3rd, unless it's like the Buccaneers. I could see maybe take him. He gives me some Baker Mayfield. But yeah, the whole quarterback situation is very strange. And I think one thing that's helping Michael Penix and Bo Nix reach that first round draft capital is just the 5th-year option that's going to be there. As every team kind of knows that they took a while to break out in college, probably need a little bit of time. So to get that extra year, not really for free, but for free, is nice.
And I mean, they're all old guys.
Right,
like
exactly.
it's Caleb and Drake, and then a bunch of the old fellas.
Yep.
JJ also obviously
He's
3-year player, but I mean, they're a bunch of true juniors that are all awesome, and we love their games. And then it's a bunch of old dudes that have been there since 2018 and 2019, and you're like, Grandpa, get the fuck out.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I've got some of these guys are 23, 24 years old. It's totally, unprecedented that we've had guys start. I think Bo Nix has started something like 61 college games. That's absurd. Like, guy had 2 full careers in college.
He
Like,
really,
that's
really did.
just unreal, man. But yeah, dude, tonight's gonna be all kinds of fun. The guys in the chat, the people watching this show, you guys are the real sickos. So obviously you're gonna stay around for day 2 and day 3. But day 1's all pageantry, and it's a lot of fun, man.
It is. I look forward to being there, boots on the ground with you.
Yep.
And I'll see you in just a few minutes.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Matty Cuban, come get one take. One take. Give me a take. We'll wrap it up.
Shout out to Maddie.
Yeah, let's go. It just walked up, looking all fresh. Love this.
I was watching you guys from the gym.
Nice.
That's how much, I'm a big fan of you guys. What you guys do here, big fan. My take of this draft. Put me on the spot here. I'm going to say it. JJ McCarthy goes to the Patriots.
Woo! All right, guys, make sure you stay tuned. That was the last-minute NFL Draft Bold Predictions live from Detroit. Player Profiler is going to be covering all 7 rounds this year in this wonderful house. So stay tuned for that incredible coverage. And, of course, follow us on all our social media channels. You guys have a terrific Thursday, a wonderful rest of the week. Let's go NFL Draft.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.